Is LeBron James the greatest, or did he face greater competition? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Deal, once again bringing you Game on the Line right here on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Follow us everywhere on social media. @DGOTL. That's @DGOTL. LeBron James and the Lakers, they just won the NBA Finals in the bubble, in Florida and things like that. And LeBron got his fourth ring with the third franchise. It's a first player done that in history, so he already made history, so that's good for him. Now everybody is doing the GOAT thing again. Everybody is doing the GOAT thing once again. Here we go. Is he greater than Michael Jordan? Is he greater than this? Is he greater than that? Did he do this? Did he do that? Blah 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 blah. But one thing about social media, people create their own thing. Well, there's images, things like that, and then I had to take a couple of things. I ain't gonna lie to you. I had to steal a couple of things because, if just breaking it down, hey, it is what it is. But let me just break down who LeBron James competed against in his, decade of being in the finals. Now, let's break it down all the way to 2007 when he took the Cavs kicking and screaming to the finals, whatever the case may be. But he still went there. That still count. People don't want to count it, but that still count. Okay, now LeBron and the Cavs, they faced the Spurs, and he lost to the Spurs. Got swept in 2007 to a Tony Parker, Duncan, Manu Ginobili team. So he lost that. Got swept. Then 2011 lost to the Mavericks. Now it was always a back and forth. People talking about how LeBron and D Wade, they were, didn't know who was going to be the alpha, things like that. They had Chris Bosh as well. But everybody's talking about he should have won that. But they lost to the Mavericks, to Dirk Nowitzki, Jason Kidd team. LeBron James and D Wade are better players than them, but it is what it is. Then they finally won, in 2012. But they played against a young Oklahoma City Thunder team who had a young Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and a James Harden and Serge Ibaka. Young team. But people missed that was a short season because that was a strikeout season. Like, people didn't really start playing until, I would say, All-Star time, kind of stuff. Around January, December, people started playing again because it was a short season. But, hey, they don't count that. They just say, hey, he won the title, and then that's where they leave it at. That's how it goes. Now, the following year, they beat the Spurs, but people want to talk about 2013, they beat the Spurs. But everybody in the NBA circle, we all know there was a whole lot of Danny Green mistakes in that finals. Let's just keep it real. And he almost repeated it this year. But it is what it is. Now, you go to the following year when they lost to the Spurs. So they went 2 for 4 in the finals. The Miami Heat, when LeBron was on there, they lost to the Spurs, to once again, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and a young Kawhi Leonard. So they lost that, and they lose the following year. And by they, I mean, LeBron went back to Cleveland. Wanted to bring a ring to Cleveland. So he lost to Warriors team with the young Steph Curry, young Klay Thompson, young Draymond Green. Great system, by the way, led by a great coach, Steve Kerr. It is what it is, but he lost. But he lost because he had 2 injuries. They went to Game 6, but he lost. He didn't have Kyrie. Kyrie got hurt in the first game of the finals, and then Kevin Love got hurt in the playoffs. So it was what it was. Then the following year, the Warriors wanted to prove to the world they were a great team. So what they do? 73-19. Okay? They won 73 games that year. But you know what? LeBron had a healthy team, healthy Kyrie, healthy. Came back from a 3-1 deficit and won the finals. That was 2016. Okay? Now the following year, the Warriors, they had to load up, right? They had to load up. They got Kevin Durant, and nobody can beat them. It was over with. They won 2 years in a row. LeBron James, he got swept in one year, and he got a gentleman sweep in the other year. He got one game. It was what it was. Then, fast forward now, in the bubble, NBA bubble, everybody's talking about they don't want to go, blah, 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 all these different things. But LeBron James finally get his 4th ring, and he beat his old team, the Miami Heat. Okay, so, hey, congratulations, don't get me wrong, but let's go to Michael Jordan competition. Since we're talking about is he the greatest, and everybody's comparing him to Michael Jordan, it's a good topic. People they just can't get enough of it. They got to break it down. So who did Michael Jordan face when his first title? He faced pretty much, I was gonna say young, but it wasn't young. It was an older Lakers team. Magic Johnson, James Worthy, but they were older. They were an older team. It is what it is. Then he faced Clyde Drexler. It is what it is. Hall of Famer, sure. But, come on now. Then he faced his old friend Charles Barkley. Beat them. I think it was 6th game with that as well. Then he beat, I don't know if he swept or whatever the case may be, but Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. At the time, Seattle Supersonics. Yeah, that was the old team. Instead of, Oklahoma City, they was in Seattle at the time. Now, then 2 years in a row, he faced the Utah Jazz and went to Game 6 both years. Michael Jordan come on top. Here's the thing, people. You are and you face whoever your competition is. We can't compare like people always want to do. We want to compare who Michael Jordan faced in the 90s and who LeBron faced this time around. It is what it is. We could talk about Bill Russell. We're going to discredit his championship because he faced, he was on the Boston Celtics, and they didn't really have a lot of NBA teams back at that time. And that was during the time it was the NBA and the ABA. Let's be real. We're going to discredit, the 80s when it wasn't 32 teams at that time. And when we're gonna bring that up, what do we want to do? Everybody want to compare decades. You can't compare back in the past when it wasn't no internet to now we got social media and you can make millions of dollars online now. Why are we always comparing different decades? Like, this is that old school, back in my day kind of things. Jesus Christ. So let's just say this. 2010 to 2020, and maybe a little bit after this year, LeBron James is the greatest of that decade. In my opinion, 2000 or 2010, Kobe Bryant was the greatest of that decade. 90 to 98, until Jordan retired, Michael Jordan was the best of that decade, the greatest of that decade. 80s, you can add in a little bit of Michael Jordan here and there, but Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, they were the greatest of that decade. Why can't we just leave it at that? Why can't we just leave it at that? Because if you want to compare the greatest, bring up Kareem. Bring up Bill Russell. Bring those guys up. Bill Russell got 11. Kareem got 6. But he got a bunch of NCAA tournament wins. He got a bunch of high school wins. He's the greatest of basketball, period. We're going to bring his name up? No, because we want to do Michael Jordan and we want to do LeBron James, even though they're completely different decades. Lord have mercy. I hope I ended it because I'm getting tired of all this talk, but you know what? It's the internet, social media, it's sports. What else is there to talk about? Might as well keep talking about it. Who's the greatest? Take your pick. Take your pick.